Hey, everybody. Please make sure to go ahead and rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks. 68. Let's get to Disney's Haunted Mansion, the remake, which came out late last year. It's directed by Justin Simien, it's done by Katie Dippold, who also wrote the Ghostbusters reboot with Kristen Wiig and The Heat, some Parks and Rec episodes. It stars Lakeith Stanfield, Rosario Dawson, Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jared Leto, and a few others. And the synopsis is a single mom named Gabby hires a tour guide, a psychic, a priest, and a historian to help exorcise her newly bought mansion after discovering it is inhabited by ghosts. So, hot take, shame here, I don't know. I haven't seen the original Haunted Mansion. I've heard of it, been meaning to get around to it, but I never was really exposed to that growing up. Never really knew anyone who had mentioned it. So when this one came out, I don't think I'd even heard of it at the time. I probably will get around to watching it sometime in the next couple of months, but that's what that is. I was curious about this one mainly because of the cast. I'm a sucker also for ghost stuff. I like ghost hunting, exploring historical locations and discovering secrets, all that sort of stuff. I'm just a sucker for it. And talking about Katie Dippold, I did like The Heat and the Ghostbusters reboot. I know some people didn't, but I did. But talking about this one more specifically, I think the reviews were fairly mixed, maybe even in the negatives when this one was first released. I know it flopped financially, but I think even critically it was kind of eh. And I thought it was all right. I thought it was a passable, entertaining, charming film. I thought it looked quite good. I liked the design of the ghosts. I thought Lakeith Stanfield is so underrated. Like, he is so good in this, way better than he needs to be. And he's just great in everything. But I love Lakeith Stanfield. And the whole cast is excellent. But I think he makes the movie better than it would be normally, I think. And so he's my favorite part of it. I like Jared Leto a lot. I say that every time there's a Jared Leto movie. I don't know why he was even in this, considering he's completely covered in special effects. His voice is very much altered. You can't even tell anybody could have played this role of the bad ghost leader. So I was kind of disappointed that he was not even really featured in one way or the other. So that was too bad, but not a big deal. Everybody else, very good though. Good score. I really like the look of the mansion, and they really make it feel very expansive and big, and it's shot well. I do find, though, while I like the traditional classic 80s kind of Ghostbuster vibe to it, it still felt way too long. Like, it's 2 hours. I think it could have lost a half an hour and would have been a better movie. It just really was spinning its wheels sometimes, and there's not a lot of plot, but it still felt like a little inert sometimes, and that by the time we got to the second act, I was a little restless sometimes, but usually there'd be enough charm, some decent jokes. One issue is it's not as consistently funny as I think it could be, and as some of Kate Dippold's other scripts are. I think the Ghostbusters reboot and The Heat are both funnier than this one is. But going back a little bit, I did like the very traditional feel of the movie. Like, it doesn't feel too pandery. It just feels like it's very light on its feet and not taking things too seriously. There's not some big overarching cinematic universe going on. It's fairly self-contained. So I did like that about it, and that was refreshing compared to a lot of the other Disney stuff that comes out and other ghost-esque blockbusters as well. So that was nice. I do find, though, even having seen only a couple of days ago, I remember very little about it aside from certain emotional moments with Lakeith Stanfield performance-wise, like him dealing with the loss of his wife and all that. I think that really hit harder than I thought it would, so I applaud him for that. And, I'll always watch this kind of movie. Being a sucker for it, I always will. Even if they're terrible, I will watch them. I'm just personal taste, my cross to bear. I will watch them. I'll basically watch anything with ghosts. So, if you need something diverting, if you want sci-fi, fantasy, ghost, bustery sort of stories or films, you could do worse than this one. I think it's all right, and it does the job. Just not an amazing movie. I can see why it did flop, unfortunately, but it's maybe one around Halloween I could see myself going back to. It's good ones to watch with the family. I think it's one of those. So that is a heavy 3 out of 5.